So if you've noticed, we've shifted from more of a discussion point of, hey, here's all the benefits from the IRA, the resources out there, and now we're looking at what are the innovative ways to be able to implement the IRA. So it may not be just solar and heat pumps. There are so many different ideas, and what ways can we prioritize it in an equitable manner? So I'd love to bring up Bryan Wisk is CEO of ARC Public Benefit Corporation. ARC's mission is to encourage transformational technology adoption where the power of nature fuels the progress of society towards a net zero future. Bryan?
So first, I just want to thank Alex and EOPA for having us. This has been a great event, so thank you. I am the founder of ARC Public Benefit Corporation. We're focused more on the capital side and how capital can be deployed to focus on the regional deployment of renewable energy. We could go to the next slide. So what was difficult for me to understand when I first got into this space is electricity and power is the only commodity in the world that has to be consumed immediately when it's produced. So this is the grid we have today, mostly built in the 1950s. Most of the generation plants, the fossil fuel generation plants, were built mid-century, and it produces power in a controllable way and gets it to the load on the other side of that graph. That's one directional power. And the problem with the sun and the wind is it can't be controlled. And once you plug a solar farm or a wind farm into that system, you have to make sure that it can be consumed at the time that it's produced. How many in this room have heard of the duck curve? So a few people. So essentially in California today, which has been ahead of the curve in the United States, in the spring of this year, because most of the solar is produced in the middle of the day, there was actually a zero net load in California. By the time people get home from work and you have EVs and people turning on air conditioning and whatever they do in the evening, that jumps up to a demand of 30 gigawatts. So in just a 3-hour period, the interconnect system in the state of California is experiencing these rapid ramps of over 10 gigawatts. So we could go to the next slide. Obviously, getting to a solution where we're just financing renewables and doing energy transition, we're going to end up with a lot of power we can't use because it's produced during the day when we don't need it. So what we're doing at ARC is focusing on putting that generation closer to the load. So on the left side of that picture is the bulk transmission, and that's really your high voltage power. Then that comes into, and this is important for all, the municipal and elected officials on the city level and the municipal level, to the sub-transmission system. And if you look at the way American cities and other cities around the world are designed through industrialization and through the 20th century, a lot of distribution, logistics, manufacturing is in that sub-transmission zone at the outskirts of cities. So if you can think about regional airports, Amazon distribution and fulfillment centers, those all tend to be there. And then as you get into suburban and urban, that's the distribution tier there. So what we finance is a series of solar parks that sit at the edge of cities, and are now the flow of energy can be bidirectional. And the key is battery storage. So as what you're going to see over the next 10 years, as the transmission system is being upgraded, is that you have an immediate solution where solar and storage and other renewable sources as well can act as a balancer to store some of that excess power that's being produced during the day, shift it to at night when it's being consumed or early in the day. And that top layer, if we could go to the next slide. And these are some of the companies that we're in discussions with, or at the forefront of this. But whether it's utility or large corporations are all under enormous pressure hit their net zero goals. And these are hard net zero targets now. So this whole layer can be managed almost as one energy resource. And that's what's, what we've heard about VPPs or virtual power plants. But these are all 5G enabled, private networks that can be optimized in real time. And that can happen in less than a second as these loads are shifting. And so we really focus on the technology layer. And what this has to do with communities, especially LMI communities, low and moderate income communities, is without such a mechanism, 80 to 100 million households and small businesses can't do rooftop or on-site solar. So I think there's a bit of a misconception that we can all rush out and get, solar panels, put them on the roof, batteries, but that leaves out a whole section of the population from energy transition. With this model, it allows communities to subscribe to the solar parks, and then they get their energy credits right on their bill. They don't have to go into debt. This is a much, I think, simpler program, and one that can, as I said, happen today. So going to the next slide. And this is the difference between these two systems is in the future, the old system, the old grid just couldn't work. You're going to have over 100 million in the US alone energy resources that can push power to the grid. It could be your Tesla that's adding power to your house. There are many ways for these energy resources, and all this has to be autonomous. So if we go to the next slide. So what we really like to think about is less about net zero by 2050. It seems it's so far out. Like what does that really mean for us today? And to me, this slide is what it means for us today. This is a Goldman Sachs estimate that the IRA, and it includes the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, would induce over $2.9 trillion in new investment. And that should create, these are additional jobs into the existing workforce, 1.3 million solar and 250,000 wind jobs. So this is, a multi-generational opportunity to, as I've said here, rethink, redesign, and rebuild how we do this. And that workforce, it's our mission at our Public Benefit Corporation to make sure those jobs, those benefits, and the dollars from this stay in the communities where these projects are done. So that's what we're focused on, and we look forward to hearing questions and meeting with you all later tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.